All right, I've been holding off as long as I possibly can, but today is the day. I'm gonna start planting. Welcome back to Eccentric Nature. I'm Eric Hayden, and today I'm talking about some little plants I've been dealing with, a few issues I've got here and there, and doing some planting of some new herbs. All right. Before we get all that going, please go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and then hit the bell. Bing! All these things will be very much appreciated. Thank you. Lots of gratitude for you. A couple of plants I didn't cover in my March indoor garden update. If you haven't seen that, you can go back and watch that. But I didn't cover my amaryllis. And I gotta say off the bat, I completely screwed the pooch on this one, all right? I have a timer that I set up for like a number of weeks when I put it into hibernation and out away from the dark. I mean, into the dark, not away from the dark. That timer went off and I forgot to pull it out. And then I kept making the idiotic mistake of like, oh yeah, I need to pull that out. Got busy with something else, forgot about it. Oh, I gotta pull that out. Oh, got busy, forgot about it. Oh, I gotta pull that out. Get busy, forgot about it. Oh, I should really pull that out now. Got busy, forgot about it. Oh my God. Yeah, and I did this for week after week after week, and by the time I pulled it out, it looked none too happy. I mean, it still looked good enough that it decided that it was gonna come out with the stem and everything, but the stem is like half the size it was last year. You could tell one of the leaves had already pretty much died down. The flowers were definitely unbalanced and not as big as they were last year either. So I really messed this up. This was completely on me for messing up my timer and then not just going the second I had that thought and going, okay, let me grab it and get it, because you know, life being what it is, you can just get distracted, and next thing you know, it's been a whole extra month before you pulled your amaryllis out, and it needs you, it needs the love. Why didn't you pull it out, Eric? Ah! So yeah, hopefully now that it's out, I have been taking really good care of it since I pulled it out, giving it lots of love. You can see from the pictures here how it is a little bit disjointed, a little bit unformed, where I've got one flower popping out first, nice and big, looking really good, but the other two are still straggling behind. The leaves, you can see, are still slowly coming out, and they'll get really big still, and I'm sure we'll gather lots of light here over the summer months before I have to put it back away again. But yeah, I'm just really so kicking myself for what I did with Amy here. My poor amaryllis. But you know, that's the way it is sometimes, you know, you have so many plants, you have so much going on in your life, and it's easy to do these things. So you know, you just gotta, you know, soldier on, move forward, and you know, luckily it didn't kill her. She's still going, and I'll go ahead and make sure I set multiple reminders this time and make sure I don't make that same mistake again. Next up is my orchids. Now, if you look at these guys, they are still suffering from the effects of that really difficult, hard orchid repot I did. Really, I think the problem was that two things. One, I didn't get enough of the high quality potting mix that I like using, and I used some of this other stuff that I still had on hand that isn't as good, and that partly messed with it. And number two, I waited too long on some of these, actually. They say that, you know, you can usually repot like every 2 years, maybe every 3 years, and I actually waited like 4 years on some of these here. And while Fred, who's the one who's had the most trouble and like almost died when I first got it because it was diseased and I really had to cut it back, and it took like 2 years to flower after I first got it. He has been the hardest one for me to watch and deal with during this period because his roots, all of the downward roots are gone. Yeah, I mean, all these air roots that you see, that's it. That's all he has. It's been very difficult to keep in that pot. I feel like I want to, like, you know, attach it to a bark piece or something so, you know, it has more contact with the bark, because even though it looks like it's sitting into this thing, but it's not. I mean, I've had to really reorganize it and actually take the bark out and try and reset it on top of some of the roots to try and keep it in there, because he's like shifted and almost fell out of the pot a couple times because he's just barely hanging on by a thread to that bark. And it's been a really frustrating, really difficult thing to try and deal with and get out. But all I can do right now is try and keep him in that bark as much as I can. He does have new growth coming out and does have some new roots coming out, and I just can only hope that some of them just start shooting down and he gets some more downward roots so he gets some traction into the pot and holds in there a little bit better. Because otherwise he's so flimsy, and it really is scared because the leaves look really kind of bad. And even that short one that's there isn't growing. So I'm just hoping to get some new growth. I'm hoping he starts rejuvenating. It may just take some time. I mean, I had 4 leaves and I had to cut one of them off because it died. And at this point, I'm not holding out much hope that he's going to flower this year. But like I said, because of its history, this isn't necessarily to be unexpected. And I'm really just hoping that now all I can do is take care of him the best I can, and next season he'll flower back again and these roots will just keep gaining strength. But otherwise, the other ones, even though they've lost a few roots, they all look pretty good. They all have lots of strong, healthy roots still. And I'm still waiting to see what happens with Ginny. She usually comes out a lot later than my other 2 orchids. And I still have a lot of faith that she's going to flower. George, Fred's twin, may not flower as well, but still there's a good possibility of that happening. I mean, Ginny does have a new leaf coming up, which is great to see. And as you can see, Ollie, my big orchid, man, he's doing great. As expected again, after the repot and the shock that causes, it hasn't gotten as big as it did the previous season. Last season I had a huge stalk with lots of flowers and then 2 offshoots on that main stalk, so it had lots of flowers. This time it's just the one stalk, and the flowers aren't as many, and so it's not to be unexpected again. These are things that all happen because of the repot, especially when it was as difficult and traumatic as it was. And if you haven't seen that video, please do, because this was by far the hardest orchid repot I've ever done. And oh my gosh, so much difficulty. And I'm still suffering the effects of that, so hopefully we'll be getting past that. Let's move into some planting. So first thing I'm gonna do is right here. My peppermint is looking really good. He's got lots of new growth coming out, and I've already cut it back since my March video, and he's growing out more again, but this definitely needs a repot. It needs more soil for him to thrive really well. I just want him to have a little bit more space to grow out and expand, because I love my mint and I love using it. So I want more mint. I'm gonna put him in a bigger pot and we'll see how she does there. So I have several different herbs I need to do. I have them all planted, set out there in pots ready to go. I don't think I'm gonna get through them all today because the soil I have, I don't think I have enough for all of them possibly. And I need to really treat this soil because it's got some bugs coming out of it, and we'll talk about that more once I get out there. But I think at this point, let's just get on out there, start doing these, and talk over each one as I go through them. Alright, now the first thing I really want to do is get some of my diatomaceous earth and put it straight into the soil and just mix it up. Like I said, I had some little gnats coming out of the soil already, so I wanted to treat it and see if I could just deal with it at the source and attack it from multiple angles. I'm going to spray it down with a little bit of soap and water as well, maybe a little bit of alcohol, but I'm doing my best to try and make sure I stop these bugs before they even get started. So this time I'm actually trying to mix it into the earth rather than just put it on top, which is what I normally will do with the diatomaceous earth. Here we go, we're replanting Mr. Mint now and get into just a slightly bigger pot. So nothing fancy with this one, just taking a little bit of dirt out and getting some more soil in there so it can grow a little bit bigger. Now with the seeds that I have, I'm missing a few, like I'm missing the sage, I'm missing some rosemary, I'm missing the rest of my jalapenos. I got a couple left, but I need a few more to really do a full jalapeno pot. Anyways, I'm going to wait a little bit later because that loves the heat, so I really shouldn't be planting the jalapeno until probably mid-late May, if not June, because they really like the heat, and the only time I can get it for them is later in the season. And the reason I waited so long anyways for all of these to plant them is because last year I did it in March, And they say you can do it in March, but it really doesn't work over here for me because of the fact that it was just still too wet and too cold, too many cold snaps in the evening, and it allowed the bugs to just breed like crazy. So I had to just make an executive decision to push it back a month and start planting later April. And hopefully that will take care of any problems with these bugs again this year. Because up until last year, I hadn't had that many problems with bugs. And I think it is just because I had naturally waited, and it just last year I just got a little bit anxious and decided to plant a little bit early. So that was just my mistake. But I got quite a few that I'm going to be I'm planting today, including some cinnamon basil, some chives, a little packet of flowers that someone gave me. But this is all really pretty simple and straightforward. I mean, besides adding the diatomaceous earth, I'm adding a little bit of perlite in there. And you're just doing the standard where I leave a little bit of space at the top, put the seeds in. You put like a 1/4 inch, just enough to cover the seeds on the top, and then water them afterwards. And that's pretty much it. Straightforward. It's what I do with my herbs all the time. After they start popping up, I'll give them a little bit of herb food. Maybe some fish emulsion, different things along those lines to help perk them up and get them moving fast. All right, that's it for today. Hey, if you have any suggestions on my orchids or anything that I've talked about today to help them work even better than I'm doing right now, please, I'm happy for any of that. Give me a comment down below. Or if you have anything else you want to comment on, you can do that too, baby. We love you. All right. Comments, love them. Hey, if you haven't done so already, go right back and watch my orchid repot video for all the details and what I talked about earlier, or watch the history of mint to learn all the wonderful and exciting facts about mint and peppermint and spearmint. Yeah, it's fun. But that's it for me today. Until next time, y'all take care of yourselves, and I hope all of your herbs grow nice and big. Woo! Big herbs!